Oh, what is it going to be? Hey there guys, it's me, Kyo, with a requested video by you guys. This one is focused on PvP with my commentary on it. Let me know if you like it. There is always room to improve or spice things up a little bit. So without further ado, let's do our placements and see where we end up. Use the timestamps in the video description to jump to different matches. I personally think that match 5 and 6 are the most interesting. Now let's have a look at match number 1. With full confidence and barely changing my build after the balance patch, I entered ranked PvP. And this time I was running my bunker druid, completely not realizing that the 5 vs 5 maps are now replaced with 2 vs 2 maps. Probably I'm the worst teammate you could have at this point, but I expected it to go well. I entered the arena and got to play on the Hall of the Mists with an unexpected ally, this fancy dressed Reaper. By looking just at his attire, I knew for certain that we were going to win. So without much communication we engaged the opposing Necromancer and Revenant. After fighting for a minute I dropped to 0 HP and I thought I was done for, having missed several opportunities to finish the Necromancer. When I was looking back the gameplay of this match, I quickly realized that I was not as good as I expected to be. Luckily, my spiky dog and my teammate got me up. After finally defeating the Necromancer, I knew our first round was won. The perk of playing a Druid is that you can use the Celestial Shadow trait from the Druid trait line. Before I finish the Necromancer, I leave the Celestial Avatar form, and the Celestial Shadow trait makes me invisible, so I can finish off my enemy in stealth. This way the enemy can't target me and it makes it harder for them to interrupt me. And the second round went smooth. Except for the fact that the opposing team realized I was healing. They went full focus on me. And oh yeah, Lich form did a humongous amount of damage a few patches ago. That's good to know. Luckily, my teammate carried me through the second round as well. Again, I managed to finish a downed enemy while I was in stealth. The third round was more of the same, with me pressing skills to stay alive and dodging loads of attacks. We did not change our tactics and blindly go for the Necromancer once again and went to finish the Revenant afterwards. So that game was won. Great, 9 more wins to go. Although my build was not suited for 2 vs 2 game modes, I decided to have another go with it. Never change a winning team, right? This match I had a Guardian with a fresh new shirt and a rather obvious name. We carefully walk up the stairs and I decide to stand in the red circles for a little bit. Don't try this at home. The Guardian quickly jumped into the fray while I tried to heal him and damage our target. And as you can see, I use a combination of Seed of Life and Lunar Impact to keep the Guardian alive. Seed of Life creates a light field, and when I follow that skill up with a blast skill, in this case Lunar Impact, it will remove conditions on nearby allies. That way, I give him a boost in healing, but also cleanse more conditions from the Guardian. Also, when the opposing player goes down, I use Lunar Impact to stun enemies in the nearby area. This interrupts the player that was rezzing the downed opposing player. Then I quickly tap out of Celestial form and finish it in stealth. With a little bit of kiting and chasing the last remaining player, we won that round as well. Round 2 was a little bit tougher. I immediately got chased and was under some pressure. I tried to combo Sublime Conversion, Staff Skill 5 and Ancestral Grace, Staff Skill 3 to increase my healing output. Using Ancestral Grace into Sublime Conversion triggers a water field, which increases my self-healing and heals nearby allies. However, I wound up dead in the end. That round was quickly lost as the Guardian didn't manage to fight 2 people at once, which is understandable. The round after was similar. I ended up dead again because of the amount of pressure the other team was doing. Then the last round came, make it or break it. Actually, this one was pretty easy. We managed to catch the Guardian off guard and burst him down rather quickly. I used the Celestial Shadow trait once again to my advantage and finished off the Guardian. We chased the Engineer, but he couldn't keep it up against us. And that was win number 2. Alright, game number 3. Never change a winning team, right? Once again, I entered the game on my Druid with the same build. Like last time, I had trouble keeping myself alive against 2 other players. These players had better focus than the other players in the first and the second game. I tried to combo several fields to both stun the enemies, cleanse my conditions and increase my healing. However, none of it worked and I quickly went down again. The Necro quickly rezzed me up, but I went down right away. And so did the Necro. In round 2, I managed to avoid a bit of their damage. We were actually doing a fair amount of pressure, but but just not enough to get them down. To give myself some breathing room, I tried to damage them a little bit. Using natural convergence, I tried to slow them down. The slow condition makes them cast skills much slower, although the slow applied only lasts 1 second. But it could give us a chance to strike back. The Necro popped into Lich form, and keep in mind this was super strong at this point and quickly finished us off. And round 2 was also lost. We lost a bit of morale in round 3 and lost that one too. However, we did manage to stay alive a little longer in round 3, and well, that was my first lost game. I did not make much impact as a druid. I needed something else, something that could both heal and had a lot of survivability and was able to do damage. So since Necros were pretty strong at this point in time, I decided to join them in their onslaught. I looked up an outdated Scourge build, made a few tweaks, and I was ready to go. And let's have a look at game number 4. And well, let's not talk about game number 4. My build was not optimal, the opposing party was way better, and my teammate was not too happy with me, which I completely understand. Now, a change of plans for game 5. If you can't beat the Necros with Lich form, well, you gotta join them. So I took a little break and looked for some new builds on Reddit. Normally, I would just edit or use an existing build, but this was just a few days or a week after the balance patch and builds were not updated. Most strengths of older builds would not apply anymore, and to my luck I found a Necromancer build and tried it out. Together with a Norn Guardian who made Christmas come early, I entered game 5. When I first entered Lich form, I could already see why people chose this elite over any other. The long duration, the extra health and the increase in damage were so significant it had to be used on cooldown. As of now, the duration has been reduced, but it is still very strong. Of course, I knew about the Lich form, having played a Necromancer since 2012, however, the potential in PvP is something I totally missed. Also, with the new Eternal Life trait, it was much easier to stay alive in PvP. Despite I went down 2 times in round 1, the Guardian managed to get me up and we also managed to get down the Mesmer. The Guardian got me up my feet again, and after a chase of about a minute we managed to get the Necromancer as well. And we won round 1. And round 2 was similar. We put out an insane amount of pressure on the Mesmer, and again he went down. I also started to manage my time between Lich form and Death Shroud. I went full damage while in Lich form and got to low health. And then quickly I used my Death Shroud to create some more distance and deal more damage to the opposing players while I used my Life Force as health. After that, I healed myself up and created some more space by using the Spectral Ring. Any player that touches the outsides of that ring will be feared and it gives me protection. Eventually, the Mesmer got back up again and things got rough real quick. My teammate was super helpful to immediately res me up when I got down and also CC'd the Mesmer or the Necromancer. I quickly got up, used my Death Shroud, feared the Mesmer, and the Guardian managed to get him down. So we managed to get the Mesmer, and shortly after we got the Necromancer as well. You see a lot of players, in this case the Necromancer, running and kiting us after their teammate died. The reason they do this is because when the timer hits 0, the playing field will be poisoned. If that is the case, you can lure opposing players into the poison, get them killed and still win the round. However, it did not come to that here. We lost a round after that because I thought I could handle a Lich while I was in Death Shroud. Also, my Guardian buddy was having trouble with the Mesmer and could not help me out. The next round went much better. We put our focus on the Mesmer again. After a bit of fighting, we managed to get on top of the arena and to down the Mesmer. Right after, I tried to zone the Necromancer with my Spectral Ring and my Reaper's Mark, staff skill 5, which also inflicts fear. This way, I created some room for the Guardian to finish off the Mesmer. The Necromancer that was left put up a pretty tough fight and almost managed to trigger the poison again. However, we beat him to it and eventually caught him on top of the arena. Although we won most of the rounds, I was not quite used to my build just yet. Without the Guardian rezzing me and CCing the opposing players, we would not have won. So a big thumbs up to that guy. Game 6 was also on the Azura Arena, a map that looks pretty cool but is not among my favorites. Players that get on top of the arena or get on higher ground are hard to hit for some of my Lich form projectiles, and therefore I prefer other maps. Most players knew this and used this to their advantage. So if you ever face a Necro with Lich form, just get out of their line of sight, they can't do much to you. Just look for higher ground or stand behind a wall. Anyway, I had another Guardian on my side and we were against another Mesmer and another Guardian. Once again, full focus on the Mesmer. After a short chase and the triggering of my Tainted Shackles, which immobilizes foes when the skill expires, we managed to focus the Mesmer down. I kind of went overkill here to trigger my Lich form. However, However, I really wanted to secure round 1 and decided to go all out. The Guardian did an attempt to res the Mesmer and I went down to the big amount of burning the Guardian applied to me. Luckily we managed to get the Guardian down before he res the Mesmer and round 1 was ours. In round 2 we used a similar tactic, focus on the Mesmer once again. And god, people really don't like Mesmers. Luckily, with a good amount of pressure from the Guardian and me bashing my fist on the keyboard to trigger as many Lich Form skills as possible, the Mesmer took a good amount of damage and went down. But wait, in a flash, the Guardian went down and the Mesmer got back up. It was me versus them at this point. The Mesmer was still low and I managed to get him down. Then I tried to finish him right away, knowing he could create an illusion of himself. However, he did not do that and the CC from the Guardian was too late. I got the Mesmer and it was 1 versus 1 again. Knowing that the Guardian heavily relies on the boons that were applied, I quickly used Corrupt Boon twice to remove the boons that were on him. After taking a few hits from the Guardian, I removed his conditions by using the Consume Conditions healing skill. Then I used Spectral Walk to consume new incoming conditions and change them into Life Force. And round 2 was also won. Round 3 was a little bit shorter. This round was basically me against the Mesmer while the Guardian was against the other Guardian. I managed to down the Mesmer the same way as I did before. Both Guardians managed to down each other, which was pretty funny. So I finished the Mesmer and went on to res the Guardian. Better to be safe than sorry. And as you might guess, we won game 6. Now, game 7. This time I was with a well-dressed Asura. This had to be a win. This time I had a Mesmer on my side. And although I was with a Mesmer, the opposing team put their focus on me. Luckily, I managed to survive with the extra vitality the Lich Form provides, along with the Grim Spectre skill that steals life from enemies over time. The Mesmer rushed to the downed Necro and finished him right away. Once again, the remaining player tries to wait it out and avoids and kites us around until the poison kicks in when the timer hits 0. A smart move, something you should always do, but is not super interesting to watch. After a minute, we managed to catch him down and win the round. At round 2, the other team overwhelmed us and managed to catch our Mesmer. I tried to res the Mesmer, but they managed to finish it before I was done resing. At this point, I tried to down the Necro, who was fairly low. I wanted to pull off something similar as in game 6, however, they were smarter than that. At round 3, I tried to catch both players in my Spectral Ring. The Necro managed to dodge out, but it seemed that there was no endurance left to dodge it another time, and we managed to down him. A quick finish and a chase after the Engineer again, and we won the round. I'll save the last round for you guys. It was similar to the first round, and we luckily managed to catch the Necro off guard and finish it rather quick. Game 7 was also a win. With 5 wins and just 2 losses, I was satisfied with my current score. 3 more games to go. Game 8, let's go. Luckily, game 8 was in the Hall of the Mists again and I had a Guardian to my side again. That usually means something good. In this map, the Lich Form and the Necro can truly shine. Although there are some walls where people can hide behind, it is still hard to dodge the Lich Form projectiles. While I was fighting the Dragon Hunter, my Guardian managed to down their Elementalist. Sadly, the Guardian went down in the process. Right here, I had 2 choices, try and finish off the Elementalist or jump to my Guardian. I chose for the finish, but this did not turn out to work. I quickly hopped over to the Guardian, so we got back into the game. After the opposing players were done rezzing, both of them were pretty clumped up and I took advantage of that. Using Tainted Shackles and Life Transfer, I could apply a huge amount of damage to them both. This allowed us to win the round. In round 2, the opposing players stepped up their game and were a little bit tougher, especially the Elementalist, who was using the Weaver Elite specialization. The Elementalist was putting out some good amount of damage, while also healing and having great mobility. It is a real struggle to catch, and I wish I could play Weaver that well. However, I did manage to trap the Weaver in a corner with my Spectral Ring. I did go down in the process, but my Guardian was quick to act. We finished the Elementalist and chased the Guardian. The Guardian had nowhere to run and we managed to catch him as well. Round 3 was tough and fast. The opposing players put up a good amount of pressure and my teammate got down fairly quick. In an attempt to rest the Guardian, I also blew my chances and I quickly followed his path. This round was lost. We were better in round 4. I had trouble dealing damage this round and I almost ran out of health and life force. However, my Guardian managed to get their Guardian. While my Guardian went down in the process, I used Spectral Ring again to keep the Elementalist at distance. This allowed me to rest the Guardian. I chose to rest the Guardian instead of finishing the other Guardian, since I have no stability available. Their Guardian would be able to knock me away and this would give the Elementalist the opportunity to finish my teammate off. My Guardian was quick to act and used Sword of Justice to finish the other Guardian. Eventually we managed to catch the Elementalist as well and got another win. Alright, second to last game, game 9. This time I was with a Mesmer in the Hall of the Mists again. We started strong with invisibility given by the Mesmer. And remember when I said people don't like Mesmers in PvP? Well, the opposing players did not like my teammate. The Necromancer flanked the Mesmer and lost a lot of health by his surprise attack. I then reacted with my Lich form. However, I had trouble targeting the right target here and the Mesmer went down to the pressure. I tried to res him a couple times, but the other team had enough interrupts to keep me from doing so. That is one big disadvantage of this build. It lacks stability to res and finish other players. You get stability from Lich form, but that is about it. Round 2, we started on the stairs again and tried to apply some pressure to the ranger. The enemy Necro was quick to act and pop Lich form. Both enemies rushed to the Mesmer and sadly went down. Luckily, I managed to get the Mesmer back up, popped Lich form, and I hoped to turn this game around. I did some damage, but it was not much. Then, shortly after, I dropped to the pressure of the other team. The Mesmer was a bit hesitant to res me up due to the field I was in and was low health himself. Could we turn this game around in round 3? A simple no would suffice. We got in and we got downed. Well, I hope for better luck next game. Last game, game 10, let's go. Now, the last game, I had to win this, right? It was Hall of the Mists again and I could use the benefits of the Lich form again. However, the opposing players were good. The Necro managed to catch my Ranger while I was using Lich form. The Ranger tried to hide, but the Lich form was far too strong. Round 2 was similar, using somewhat the same tactics as before. My Ranger was not able to hide in time and we both dropped to the power of the Lich form. I tried resing the Ranger, but the opposing Mesmer was quick to interrupt me. However, we were not done yet. In round 3, the Mesmer was trapped in the narrow halls and we managed to down him fairly quick. We pressured the Mesmer back into the hall and eventually went down. The Necro still tried to res the Mesmer, but that was to no avail. We got the Necro as well and we were back into the game. We started round 4 with good faith. We still had a good chance of turning this around and I managed to trap 2 players in my spectral ring and I thought I could do enough DPS and fear them to get them down in the corner. However, the Mesmer applied some pressure along with the Necro's Lich form and I went down straight away. I got finished and the Ranger was in a 2 versus 1 situation. Sadly, he lost it as well and we lost the game. But I was done for now. 6 wins and 4 losses. Let's see, what rank did I get? Alright, I got gold and looking at the bar that displays your rank, I'm somewhere in the middle. Wait, I'm exactly in the middle. The game basically tells me I'm super average. Great, 8 years of playing Guild Wars 2 and I'm still super average. Well, let's see how I will do next season. The 2 versus 2 season is coming to a close and the regular 5 versus 5 season is coming back if I recall correctly. Did you enjoy this new style of video? Please let me know in the comments. And if so, I could continue making some videos in this style. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your guildies. For now, thank you all for watching and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!